Hello, everybody. Welcome along to another episode of The Bench with Jenna and Jon this week. I am super duper excited for our guest. Super duper. He's none other than one of the greatest forwards to ever play the game. And also, what I'm most impressed by is that you're the father of 5 daughters. Dennis Betts, welcome to The Bench.
Let me pull him up on something.
2 granddaughters as well.
He did a smirk when he said one of the greatest forwards ever. You know, when someone's trying not to smile, he did this. It was a smile.
It was. It's like, like I said, I've been coaching for 22. I don't see myself as a player anymore. I see myself as a coach, and it's one of those kind of strange things when you go through that period, you get really good. You actually forget that what you did when you played, but you just keep getting there.
I was really good.
You just forget. You forget how bad you were and what good team you were in. But like, the kids bought me a T-shirt with the older I get, the better I was kind of mentality.
Is that right? So do you reminisce about your career?
Always, yeah. I've got all the medals on the walls. I've got all the programmes. There's pictures of me everywhere around the house.
You're joking. I feel like you're joking.
I've lived with 5 daughters. You think I could live like that?
You would not get away with it.
So it makes sense that you are also the head coach of the Wigan Warriors Women's team. I mean, are you a glutton for punishment?
I am, yes.
So you got 5 daughters?
I have, yes.
And 2 granddaughters.
It's great, this as well, because he looks like he doesn't know this, because I've known Jon a long time, and he does know.
I did know, but I'm acting surprised for TV.
Just for TV and for the podcast.
But that must be intense.
No, it's not. It's brilliant. But I don't know any different. Everybody used to say to me, was it because you wanted a boy? And I didn't. I just had children.
I mean, you don't need to go into detail.
Just very fertile.
I was never really looking to have a boy. Like I say, I was pretty happy with what I got.
So much to talk about. I just want to circle back on something that you said at the beginning of the podcast, that you forget about your career and all that. I was listening to something interesting this week where it must have been in 2020 during the lockdown period. You did a podcast for, I think it was Rugby League Cares podcast, and you were saying how not many people know that you were the England captain that led out England in a World Cup final at Wembley.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a pub quiz. Somebody's funk up with that. So there's 2 people walked out at the head of an England team in a World Cup final at Wembley.
I know the answer to this.
One of them's Bobby Moore, and nobody could get the other one.
It's a good quiz question, isn't it?
It's a good quiz question.
It's a good, especially when you're the answer.
Because we lost. It was one of those kind of things where you talk to people about how your world can turn in an instant, and like sliding doors mentality. And it's not that I was the best player in that team, that kind of stuff. It was just through that experience. I'd won Man of Steel that year. I had a really good year before when I played the England Warriors. Came out of Test series, and I was one of the vice captains. Sean Edwards was the captain. He got ill during the tournament, so I captained the side. And when we played at Old Trafford, we beat Wales in the semi-final in the Old Trafford, and then I led the side out at Wembley in a World Cup final. It's one of those really pivotal moments in your career when you think back to it and you see that kind of stuff.
Did you appreciate it for what it was at the time?
You never do. I don't think you can. I don't think, like I say, we talk about stuff like legacy and things like that. Legacy's not mine. That's what other people give you. It's like that's what you become, something that people allow you to be. It's like, say, if I sat there beating my chest, and like Jon said, like a little smirk on my face, everybody think, don't want anything to do with that bloke. He's like, help himself. But is
that your proudest
legacy,
moment? Is that the proudest moment? That
I think it has to be one of those kind of things. Well, like say, in a sporting context, context, when you put it like that, and like say, so you detach it from 1995, and you see as well, I'm really fortunate as well. I've played in 2 World Cup finals. I played in '92 World Cup final. We lost by a try. John Devereux missed a tackle on Steve Renouf. I'm not bitter about it.
Not bitter at all.
About it, but
John
I can
Devereux,
just see that missed tackle, and Australia score me, Great Britain lose at Wembley in a World Cup final, and I get a chance of another World Cup final, and we lose again by another score. Andrew Johns is absolutely outstanding in that game in '95.
Unbelievable.
And it's and then I don't get another chance, and England don't play in another World Cup final until 2017, and I'm on the coaching staff.
Yes, you are.
And it's one of those kind of strange moments in that point where you went, they've not been. I didn't even reflect on it until that point, where actually they hadn't been in a World Cup final, and I'd been involved in the 3 World Cup finals.
There's a lot of heartbreak for you there.
Stuff. I've been beaten up every single one of them.
Dennis has been to 3 finals, but very heartbreaking moments.
I won a couple of finals along the way, Jon.
I've
lost a couple.
Medals are on the bathroom wall.
I've won a couple and I've lost a couple.
How many medals as a player did you win?
On the wall?
Well, they're actually in a bag in my mother-in-law's garage.
What's the postcode?
Not worth
A big
anything.
bag?
Yeah.
It's a very big bag.
They're 8-carat gold, and it's like, do you know what 7-carat gold is? Silver. So yeah, the medals are all there, but they don't. Again, that's for the future. That's for the girls to have a look at. And they
But
get
how
them
many
again.
did you win? You were prolific. Wigan were, your time there, Dennis.
Well, I think
Wigan were
this,
untouchable.
I couldn't. How many medals there were as well? I think. I spoke to somebody on the radio not long ago, and they mentioned about 28, 29 awards, like won the league leader shield. So I've got about 27 winners medals.
I feel really
That's
like
so
I've
greedy.
cheated you at the intro of this because we had Jamie Peacock on the other week, and I did this whole
you
thing that
hammed it
went on
up.
for
You
like
really
5
did.
minutes.
9
and
grand
for you, I'm like,
finals.
yeah, but father of 5 daughters. So apologies. I mean, you are one of the best to ever play the game. You are an outstanding coach.
I think that's one. I think that's very subjective.
Yeah,
I played in a very good side.
Well-
Yeah,
but you were one of the first genuinely, I would say, mobile back rowers, were you? And you were fit as a
Costner
fiddle.
was pretty good. Was he watching some video? I was.
You were fit,
and
though.
I was really fortunate as well. I started off like I signed for Wigan in 1986, and like when I was 16, I made my debut not long after that. And like I was 17 when I made my debut, but I didn't play regular for a number of years after that. For a couple of years after that. So like by the time it got to like 88, 89, I was in the side regular under Graham Lowe, and then John Money came in and I was in the side like 89, 90 consistently. There's a lot of good players in that group, but what I did get was that the league itself and the people around it was still seen as a part-time game, but there were people in there. And one of my mentors, and still one of my best friends, is Andy Goodway. He was training full-time, like Ellery Hanley was training full-time.
Yeah.
They were the difference, and they were setting it apart. And I was really fortunate in the sense I fell into that, and then there was a couple of us as well. So I dropped in with Phil Clark, and he's one of my best mates growing up and through the league, and he was pretty
Still one of your best
single-minded.
mates?
Yeah, he's we're really close. Yeah, I've probably seen him later on at the game. So it was like we sort of set different standards, and we started to train regular. We started to go to the gym more, and it was actually Andy's brother, Phil's brother Andy, that made a massive difference in the way we trained. Because he was coming up with new ideas, or ideas that weren't new, had been in place, but they were completely different to just going and doing a bench press or a squat in a gym.
Yeah.
How much
very
more
functional training.
superior at that time in that Wigan team did you feel of your opposition? You said it was a gulf in professionalism. Obviously, they're semi-pro.
It was a different game, but there was a difference in like those bottom teams. You had to turn up and you had to win. What the hardest thing was that, like, say, you carry that target on your back, and everybody's game was better. And if you didn't start well and you went with the wrong kind of mindset, and I didn't know what mindset was there in the early 90s. That was a new thing brought in by Carl Dweck later on. But everybody's on to mindset now. But that kind of stuff was already in place with that Wigan side, where we knew people were chasing us, and every year was another target on our back that we had to then. It shows a lot of humility in the group, really. That was, like I said, we didn't sort of step away from the fact that we had to be humble in this and realise that people were chasing us, and how could we get better. And there was always one of those kind of strange stories that it's like a bit of a myth, really. But when the season finished, it was like a competition between who could start pre-season quickest.
Really?
And that kind of like you're back in pre-season in a week because you wanted to start the next season and be even better than you were the season you just finished.
It was a myth, though.
No.
No.
No, it's like the myth was like, we start next week. It wasn't pretty good, but it was one of those kind of stuff we'd sit there.
Just on your fitness, Dennis, you mentioned, how important that was to you when you were playing. Well, I heard a little story about you, 2017, I think it was, as assistant coach to Wayne Bennett. You doing the bleep test, I think it was the year James Graham may have won it, you beat most of the players in that bleep test.
Did I?
Yes.
Well, we did. I did. I don't know how many players I beat.
But you beat.
I did. Yeah.
Just like not at all. Like, of course not.
Running's easy. Yeah. I've realised that running is easy. Running into people is hard.
Yeah,
that's the running's not that hard to do. It's that kind of stuff.
But you still train now?
Oh, I still train. Yeah. Inspired by Jamie Peacock. You've not seen him?
We had him on the podcast.
Yeah, he's a bit of a freak as well. So no, that's my go-to mental health. It's like just every day, and it's one I've done since I was like 14, 15 years of age. I've been running, go to the gym, do something, just find a challenge, get on a bike. Like I say, I've been over every passing Mount 1-2, and that was the challenge that was set to me. That kind of stuff that, and it's not new. There's lots of players doing that kind of stuff. I swam the channel last year in a team. It sounds
How old are you again?
I always
55.
I always say that as well. I swam the
Sweet.
channel, and everybody goes, really? Yeah, but it was in a relay, so I wasn't doing it on my own. I did it with Kev Brown and
oh right,
we did it for a Head for Change charity.
Were you covered in goose fat?
No, I had a sweat.
No,
A wet
I mean,
those days are gone.
That'd be a kinky secret. Can you imagine Dennis covered in goose
We
fat?
digress. That's what the podcast is about.
Well, can we talk about trends as well? So Dennis's career went through, different cycles, and in life there's fashion trends, isn't there? Well, there's very much fashion trends on a rugby league field. Now, one of the iconic things that all I can think about of Dennis, and this very much comes back to talking about you covered in goose fat swimming the channel, is the size of your shorts. I think you wore...
That wasn't me. That was
Elgren.
It was Elgren. You have to bring Elgren.
It was the trend. Dennis's shorts are pornographically short.
I don't.
For a long...
Why are we...
No, trust me. Anybody use
Google. If you're looking at mine, you're no longer Man of Fire when he used to wear his.
That's
that
true.
Kind of stuff.
But they were very short.
Yeah, they were very, very short. I think it was a trend thing.
It was a competition. So you had the
think
shorts.
it was. Like, you had Andy Gregg rolling his sleeves up to show his biceps, and Man of Fire rolling his shorts up to show his...
Okay.
Quads.
His quads off. Can we get back to that? Can we get the short one?
I feel
want to get
like we're
him
there. Are we not there?
Right up. I want to see him right up there with a slit down the side.
No, Josh Charnley does. Josh Charnley wears his up.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near. When you're looking at Dennis, I mean, you're talking about, when they vacuum pack.
See, now you've got choice.
When they vacuum pack pairs in Waitrose, that's what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking choice now. You didn't have choice then. Like, so you got your kit and you had to wear it.
Yeah.
Now the players are like, can I have my shorts this length? Can I have a shirt? Can I have my shirt
half
tapered?
socks.
So you're saying it wasn't your fault?
You see those shirts on the wall, and I put a shirt up now, and it's straight down. It's made of cotton. It weighs about 2 stone. I mean, and imagine playing a whole KR on a Wednesday night.
Oh man,
the snow and the rain in a
soaking
cotton shirt,
soaking wet through. That's where the shorts came in. You needed to save weight somewhere.
I was thinking about this the other day, again, obviously, where you can, the whole KR and the Wigan game and what's coming out, that kind of stuff. And I was up at Hull KR for the Wigan and the women's nines competition.
Yeah.
That Wigan won. Just thought I'd mention
Congratulations.
Well done,
well, I want to get onto the women's game if we stop talking about short shorts.
There was a picture on the wall of Gavin Miller.
Yes. Legend.
And it was brilliant. I've just done that, and I played against Gavin. It was all those kind of stuff. When I'm looking at this black and white picture on the wall, and I'm thinking, I played against Gavin. And what a superstar he was. It was one of those kind of like.
I mean, that's one.
And
of the
he was
great
an
things.
ugly man as well.
He was a really.
Wasn't that Tina Turner? Was it Tina Turner? Was it Gavin Miller who she was filming the commercial with?
No.
Back in the day.
There was lots of Wayne Pearce was in there as well.
Was it not? Was it not?
E.T. was meant to be in it, and she was told that the best-looking guy
That was it.
the best-looking guy in the game would be filming this, and E.T. called in sick or something. He was playing over here.
And it was
at the time.
hooker, wasn't it? Who was the hooker?
Benny Elias.
Benny Elias. That was it. Benny Elias.
Tina's like
big husky pull. Who the hell's
all the boys with their hairy chests running down the beach? I've just had that picture where I've seen that
Tina
enough
American?
times.
Yes.
Right, I thought she was Australian.
What do you mean? I'll take her for sure.
Oh, she was simply the best.
She was simply
the best. May she rest her little heart. Love her very much. Simply the best. The women's game is what I want to actually talk about. Denis Betts. Wigan currently second at the time of recording this. It's fantastic. Wigan, obviously we've seen in the women's game Leeds, St Helens dominate, York dominate. Wigan have kind of been down there. I know that they did win it in the, 4 or 5 years ago?
2018.
2018. Wow, 6 years ago. But Wigan this year, I mean, they're on fire. And I just, speaking to a lot of the players, a lot of the women, a lot of it is down to you. I know you're going to smirk again. You're smirking.
I like a little bit of praise,
it might have been down to me.
No, but it's not. If you know anything about the coaching side of it, it's not. I create an environment. I came in with an idea. I came in with a blank canvas. It was great because I didn't know anybody. I'd spent a bit of time watching some more games from last year.
So why the women's game? What drew you into it?
Effectively, Chris Rad's asked me.
So whatever Rad's asked.
No, he came to me and he said, would you be interested in doing this? And I was sort of like, I was in between of what happens next. I'd come out of Newcastle. I've been at Newcastle 4 years and it just didn't take off. After COVID, the ownership didn't really stick its teeth into it.
Yeah.
There's a part of the league didn't really support it. There's lots of nuances to go into about why it didn't work at Newcastle and why it should have worked and what a great place it would be to have a rugby league side. But I came out of that with a little bit of disillusionment, and I'd like so I've gone through the wilderness process where the same kind of process at the start where I'd sat in front of a mock-up model of a new stadium, of a training facility, of what was going to happen on an ICI plant, and then you start believing your own lies, and then 8 years later you lose your job because there's no money and none of it's actually taken off.
Yeah.
And
Models are quite easy to make.
I sort of came into the same thing at Newcastle where it was like, wow, this is going to be outstanding. So I came out of that and I was thinking, don't want to do this again. But I love to coach more than anything else. And I'd spent a couple of years at Newcastle as like the director of rugby, which was a lot of the finding coaches, finding players, working with the board, trying to set budgets, trying to understand where we can find some funding from and all the stuff around the edges of it. And I got away from what I actually was, which was somebody that just loved being on the grass and so.
Was it refreshing? Was it refreshing for the first time in your career then, like you said about coaching a women's team that you didn't know a lot about, to come in to a job where, you say you didn't have an opinion as such, you've come into a brand new environment?
Well, just reevaluate your coaching, and coaching's at the game's easy. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was 9 years of age. It's like I've gone through the trends of play and how systems work, and a lot of teams all play the same kind of stuff. Dealing with people, dealing with their personalities, having the desire to help and make them better. That's what coaching essentially is. Yeah. You just do it in a certain format. And I think when I came in with the girls, I saw girls that it was wow. They just love the game, and it was really refreshing. It was like going back to that when I started coaching the academy here in 2002. It was like these kids just want to learn. They just want to get better. And the girls were the same. They just, how can we do this? How do that? And they were this far with this much ability. They wanted to do these kind of things that they saw on the TV, and it was like just understanding.
And what was the biggest thing, the biggest change? What was the first thing that you changed when you came in? What was the most obvious thing that you felt like you could have an impact on? And
we just got some discipline and just some foundational skills in place. Right. We just stripped it right back. We stopped trying to play the game like it was a man's game, and we just talked to the girls about like how do we play? How do you want to play? Yeah. How do you see where do your skills best suit the team and what we can do? And we got rid of loads of stuff, and we just went really foundational on like how we catch the ball, how we carry the ball, how we support the ball. Right. We don't get beaten inside shoulders. We support each other. We recognise that the team's better than any individual within the group. It's one of those kind of just putting some real simple principles in place. And it wasn't about having a big play from a scrum or a tap or what you do when you get into good ball and chasing a kick. It was just real foundational stuff.
I bet that's quite refreshing to go back to that, where you can have a real impact on people by changing something so basic,
You know the game, John. Again, you sit here and you like say you probably talk like a journalist or you talk like a presenter. Yeah. But you know the game's built on simple things. Yeah. And simple things are not easy.
No. They're hard to do, yeah.
They're hard to do consistently well, and that's... Being a rugby coach is boring. It's pretty dull because it's the same. It's like my every other job. You've got to do the same things, and you just got to ask people to do them better. And then you've got to see them doing bad, and you ask them to do the same things better. Yeah. And then they get bored and try something different. You pull them back and you go, "Can you do the same thing again? Do it again." And you've had the same team talk. You've had the same team talk. You've had the same things in the 25 years you've been playing. You sat there thinking, this deja vu.
We know this.
We
should know this by
now. And then some player goes off and does some random things and chips in their own half, and you go, oh.
Yeah, here we go again.
And then they score off that chip, and the crowd goes wild, and the presenters go, that's stupid, outstanding, and the coach is going, I'm going to stop and do that next week.
So what's the belief like? Because at the start of the season, it was kind of probably Saints Leeds were really the favourites, with Sinead Peach obviously having a baby. She wasn't playing. The reigning woman of steel, York, kind of fell down a little bit. But what's the belief? Do you believe that Wigan, that your team will get to the grand final and win it?
Do you know what I did as well? I stopped setting goals with the girls. I get away from that kind of setting a goal or looking at it, because everybody wants to win. It's line up on the line, everybody wants to win. Yeah. But what we're going to do next week, how we're going to turn up training. And we talked about not being motivated because motivation just wanes. Yeah. We talked about having discipline. And I asked them all to do, I just asked them to turn up and train hard. I said, just turn up. Because I'd heard along the way, because it's only part-time, because lots of the girls work, some have got families, it's a really tough thing for them to do.
So how far off is the game from being professional then?
I don't know, Jen. I don't know. I can't put a time scale on it. It can move quick or it can move slow. being professional is that they're all professional. The girls are professional, let me tell you.
But
like they turn up, they have families, they have kids, they have jobs, and they turn up and they train and they leave here at 9:30, 10 o'clock and drive 40 minutes. They get up the next day and they'll go to the gym and they'll turn up the day after at 7 o'clock and they'll stay till 10 o'clock and then they'll turn up on the way. That's pretty professional to me. It's like I say, it's not just a part-time amateur job. Just because they don't get paid doesn't mean that they're not professional. They're all really dedicated.
It's just a lot. It's a lot to juggle, like especially for a mother, for working a full-time job, training, turning up for like even some of the games that might get moved to like a Friday afternoon or something. The women have to take time off work. That's what I'm like. That for me, I find that the biggest kind of challenge for them. Yes, they're professional, but they deserve to have that.
Well, I think that's the thing. Want to get to that question that you were going to ask me at the end of the show, which is like, what would you think more? I'd like to see more on TV, more TV 100%. Games. I'd like to see the chance that they get to put themselves out there. Can we get them on TV more? Can we show these skills off that they've got? And
even playing at stadiums like this for the first time this season, Wigan were able to play here, and it's that alone, that experience is only going to help the game, help the players play on the big stage and perform under that kind of pressure.
And I think just going back, backtracking slightly onto, I think there's a really good point here about professional versus full time. Now, when we talk about the women's game, we talk about it becoming professional, and it's almost, in some ways, patronising to the effort. In fact, you have to be more professional when your life's incredibly complicated, when you've got family pressures, work pressures, when there's all of these pressures, to have children, to get back to work, to all of the pressures that are there. They're incredibly professional. Like, we work with Jodie Cunningham, we work with people who are incredibly diligent when it comes to preparing themselves. The challenge for the women's game is to become full-time, where that is their only job. And I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. I don't think, like I say, because if you look at the history of rugby league and this way that the sport went through a transition, it was very complicated for a long time, because what was full-time? So I remember the clubs like Wigan going full-time and having people in from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5:30 at night doing nothing, because they thought that's what full-time was. It's not that, and you have to learn how to, and most of them are doing those things already. So if your body's your tool, how do you look after it? About your sleep, the right diet, all the recovery. You have to recover as hard as you perform, and you have to train at a certain level.
What is fantastic about clubs like Wigan, St Helens, Leeds, York as well, they put that kind of investment in, so the women players are able to use the facilities that the men's game have, right? So that recovery, that fitness, I think that's fantastic.
It's just time. It's time again that they find around it, and just making sure that we don't try and take it too quick, or we don't try and recreate. Like I said to you before, it's like rugby league's just a game. It's played, but I thought it was a men's game because that's all I'd ever known. It's not. It's a game, and it's played by lots of people. But it's different. Watching the women's game different. It's not watching the men's game, but you can appreciate it for what it is, and eventually that will become something that's, I believe, that's desired by thousands of people to watch, and they've got superheroes on the field as well that the girls that are 5, 6 and 7 can look up to. They're not looking at just a footballer now, or they're not looking at a male footballer or a female footballer. They're looking at a male or a female rugby league player, and that's their style. That's the person that they want to emulate.
There's a trodden path now to become an elite rugby league player, which there hasn't been that there. So you can aspire and dream to be playing in big games at big stadiums.
So this is quite a nice segue into on and off the bench. Dennis, I'm not sure if you're aware, because you did admit that you're not a massive fan of the bench. Not that you're not a fan, but you're not a keen listener, but you will be. I'm sure you'll listen to yourself back, right? Smirk?
No chance now. My voice doesn't sound like this in my head.
So why?
So what you're hearing?
Have you always had the husky?
No, it was like early 90s. I got
tonsillitis.
Hematoma. I got hit in the throat. And then so
Darren Lockyer, similar kind of thing.
A lot of rugby league players. It's just knocks, and it's just a vocal.
How do you sound to you though?
I sound really clear in my head. I know it sounds really. It's really funny, and I know when I've got a cold because I feel like I'm a bit husky. But then when I come out of it, I've not got a cold. My voice sounds really clear. I sound like I could be in the Killers and those kind of stuff. I've got a good singing voice, and it's got pitch and it's got tone.
I love love that your voice comes out clear.
So in your head, is it your old voice then?
It's always this is my voice. I don't know what your voice. It's always been my voice.
So
but I can't remember that far. So I got hit in the throat,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you remember in the old days where I went and had a camera.
Too young.
I went and had a camera down up my nose and down and checked my throat.
Yeah.
I went to see a specialist. Specialist says, "Don't speak." So I got some. I had some breathing techniques and some humming to work on my vocal cords and to help make it better. So I went back to the coach and said, "I've seen a specialist." He said, "I'm not allowed to talk and I shouldn't play for 3 weeks." And John Moore looked at me and went, "Because you got hit in the throat, you're not going to play."
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I went, "No, I'll play."
Yeah,
John.
yes, I'll
play."
definitely play,
And I got
yeah.
hit in the throat again.
Did you?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It only happens twice in your life. It happened consecutively to
Oh,
me.
man.
So I got like a knock on a knock, and then it sort of deteriorated like that. So as well. So the band I was in at the time, I had to tell them that I couldn't come back.
The gravelly
So,
voice.
like,
The gravelly voice.
and
no
unless they were
more.
doing Barry White stuff, I couldn't really fall
This
in
is
line.
you are. You could be a very
It's
fantastic,
phenomenal.
raspy tribute act.
Yeah,
So
but it's not unusual in rugby when you start like
No,
saying.
yeah,
not
there's quite a few.
Like you say,
Sean Kenny Downs, Sean Kenny
Larson's,
Downs got one.
I think it was Gary Larson's, and you'll probably know Gary Larson's as well. So Gary was very, very similar as well, and he's
He's
got
a
a lot
trendsetter.
worse. He's got a lot worse.
And
as
yours
well,
is getting
yeah.
better.
Because you're humming,
No, mine's
you're
not
singing.
just gonna happen, because I've got this breathing technique, so I have to shout through my diaphragm. So when I
shout
shout,
through your
so you have to
diaphragm.
shout. You have to like. Oh.
So are you shouting? Are you shouting right now?
I'm really loud. Yes.
Dennis is shouting.
Wow, that's fantastic. I can see the
I've
headlines.
actually been told I could have a voiceover voice. I don't know if it
Yeah, I
works.
mean,
It
you
would,
could,
yeah.
yeah.
It'd just be
You
it sounds like radio static. in
Yeah, that's the
background.
problem.
You could just
No,
hum.
it sounds like traffic. That's
Dennis,
what the kids. My nickname
yeah.
for the girls is
They're
like
like,
traffic.
what? Ah, is that? It's just
That's what
doing
they do all the time.
Is that
They
an
just pretend
ambulance? No, it's just
they
Dennis.
can actually hear me, but they just say, "I can't tell what you're saying because your voice."
Yeah, no, excellent
On and off the
stuff.
bench.
On
And it's
off the
quite a
bench.
good coaching tool as well because I can't
What, your
shout.
voice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
just
thought you were
have to come in,
shouting
come in,
now.
Come in.
And everybody has to be quiet.
I'm really angry at you all.
So,
Menacing.
So, yeah, you can't sound angry. You always sound angry. You don't. You sound lovely. Fantastic. On and off the bench is a segment that we have on the podcast. On the bench is something you want to see less of in the game. Off is something you like to see more of. We're going to open it up.
That's a bit strange. Is it on?
Yeah, on the
Is
bench,
it
getting it
off?
out.
On
Yeah,
getting it
it
on the
out.
bench.
Getting
Getting
it
it on the
Yeah,
bench.
getting
on
him
the
out of the
bench.
game,
So
or
in rugby
her,
there's a
or
bench
that,
and
or
subs
it,
sit
or
on the-
whatever.
on the-
Yeah, I did spend a lot of time. You might have done, but I didn't know.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, on the bench, something you want to see less of in the game.
Can I go?
Yeah, please.
Please. Right, so what I want to see less of in the game is... oh, there we go. Flames in the background.
Just what we need on this blistering hot day.
Wow, they were hot, weren't they? Is sponsorship on kit, right? So, you know, as time's gone on, rugby shirts have become more and more like sort of Tour de France jerseys. You've got sponsor like left sleeve sponsor, chest sponsor, stomach sponsor, back of shirt sponsor. I want to get rid of it. I want to go back to 1996 Super League. You know, the NRL shirts that just had, they were just all the team colours and a brand. That's,
Well, that's
what I want.
it. That's if Nike owned, because Nike
Yes.
owned Super League.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have put anything, but they paid a lot of money for that.
That's what we need, though.
So, yeah,
Let's
can
just,
find
we need a
something, you can
sportswear
find one.
company to just buy
Or
it
you
all.
can be Real Madrid and you can be completely white
Yeah.
and have no sponsors whatsoever, an
Nothing.
iconic kit,
Yeah.
but have an owner that owns Fiat cars and he can just keep putting money into you.
Yeah, that's what I want then. I want there to be enough money in the game where we can just have literally just your team colours, no sponsorship. Keep
Okay.
it pure.
So is that on or off? I'm confused.
That's on the bench. The
On the bench.
sponsorships.
On the bench.
Yeah.
Off the bench, more money in the game for me, and also seeing more women's games live on Sky.
money.
Dennis, you
That's
were
yeah, I
saying?
think more game. I like say if we could go off the bench,
Yeah.
which is
More.
promoting the women's game.
Yep.
Having
How?
the women's game, having it every single week, finding a way of match. If it's every 2 weeks, twice a month, there's a highlighted game. It
Yeah.
might just be one game that weekend as well. Getting more girls games playing. I think what they're trying to do at the moment as well is so they're cutting squad sizes down, so they're not so each club can't just hold on to girls, or they've got to go to different clubs.
Yeah.
So your Leeds, who've got a good pool of players, we've got a good pool of players,
Yeah.
St Helens got a good
It's
pool of
more
players. Can
evenly,
you spread
yeah.
those to Warrington, to Lee?
Yeah.
Can they go to Castleford and Wakefield,
Yeah.
the girls out of Leeds? So all of a sudden you're spreading those girls out. Might not be good for all those girls, but can you make those teams stronger? Can we get on the TV a little bit more as well?
Love it.
Excellent.
Have you got a off the bench?
Off the bench, I have, yeah. It was off the back of a chat with Paul Lakin yesterday, and I was talking about being a ball boy. I was a ball boy at Hull KR from a young age.
I remember you.
Remember?
Do you? Really?
Dennis, I was went to put the ball
He
down
was
the
pretty good
sideline.
ball boy, actually.
Dennis stamped on my foot.
Congratulations,
He did.
good at
He did. I
something.
reported him. But I was thinking, why in a modern world, right, where it's like ball boys, ball people, ball young people. I think it's ageist. Like I want to see I want to see Denis Betts as a ball person. I think I'd love to see older people.
Do you want to go because you were good at being a ball person?
Yeah,
is that what you want? You want to go back at being a ball person?
I think some of the kids, right? Some of them are great. Some of them aren't that good. You know, they don't get the ball back quick enough. I think let's really do some tryouts. Let's get some athletic ball people. Maybe older, maybe some corporates, people in suits. This is so.
I just don't even know.
No.
I'm just like,
no.
Let's just say sorry now, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not going to
happen. I think he's just got too much time in his hands. Those early mornings are really affecting him at the moment.
Yeah, they are. You know when you get deliriously tired and you think things are funny.
Just spending time in your old head.
Yeah, you think things are funny and they're not.
Dennis Betts,
a problem for me.
It's been wonderful. You didn't really answer my question about are Wigan going to get to the grand final and win it. You said that you don't have goals. But I want...
I'd love to get to the grand final. The question is, everybody wants to get to that point and everybody wants to win the grand final.
Well, I wish you...
We want to be really competitive this year.
And you have been, and it's been outstanding watching. I can't wait to see the back end of the season. And, of course, if you do make it all the way and then go on and lift silverware...
Wouldn't you love to get into Dennis's head and hear his voice, his own voice back? I would love
Try
to
and do what the voice sounds like.
This is what it sounds like.
No, I know, but do in your head what it sounds like.
I know, but I don't know what it sounds like to you.
No, but what do you think?
This is deep philosophical.
Do what you think it sounds like to us.
If it falls over. Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know what it's
fascinating.
To finish.
Jenna, this is not JJB time. No,
too deep. Too deep.
Dennis Betts, Jon Wilkin, viewers, listeners, it's been a pleasure.
That's half an hour. That's quick, isn't it?
It's gone.
So quick. I mean, in our company, it always is quick. But we're so. Thank you, everybody. Bye.